Okay, so welcome everybody to Sisterhood Super Tuesday Health Series. Tonight we have the pleasure of having Denise Nathaniel speak to us about I Do It My Way, A Taste of Things to Come, Musings on Holistic Wellness. Denise Nathaniel has a diploma in natural health and a certificate in nutrition after studying for 9 years at the Institute for Natural Health Consultants. She also holds a CPA, CA designation, as well as being a life master in bridge. I actually had the pleasure of her replacing one of my bridge teachers one day, and she's very dynamic and excellent. So without further ado, I present to you Denise.
Thank you, Grace. It's nice to be here tonight and to see all the familiar faces, the unfamiliar, but you all look friendly and inviting. So I'm happy to be here. And hopefully it will be of interest to all of you, what I've prepared to talk about. I've given a little brief synopsis of my background, what brought me to the place in my life where I feel that I can discuss my way, my philosophy of health. And I'd like to discuss that with you. I'm a learner at heart. I began my post-secondary studies in languages at Vanier and McGill. I was studying Italian, Russian, Spanish, German, before switching concentrations to accounting, eventually earning my CA degree. It was challenging and fun for a few years, but when my children were born, my focus again changed, this time to their health and wellness. My itch for learning returned, and as the millennium approached, I decided to delve into the field of alternative medicine with a concentration in nutrition. As I began my courses, a new passion was born. I was exposed to a whole new world from the one I had previously lived. The more I was able to open up to new possibilities, the more they presented themselves to me. My studies included not only the prerequisite science courses, but also classes on the healing powers of plants, chakras, Chinese medicine, psychotherapy, homeopathy, Reiki, aromatherapy, and other energetic disciplines. My non-academic life had also exposed me to different lifestyles and customs throughout the years. From a child who spent her first 10 years of life in rural Ontario, born to French-Canadian Catholic parents, I found myself later being transplanted to the tenements of central Montreal, with all the attractions and perils of inner city life. As a teen, I traveled for 10 months on my own, overland from England to India, even through Iran, witnessing firsthand at an impressionable age worlds very different to anything I had ever imagined existed. Then at 21, back home in Montreal, I met the man whom I fell in love with and married, my very own Persian Iraqi Jewish husband. I happily converted, adopted his cuisine and culture, and even studied Arabic at McGill when his late father came to live with us. I believe that this combination of diverse life experiences, coupled with a love of learning and an open mind, created the fertile ground in which the seeds of my way were sown. Notwithstanding all this preamble, I do not currently work in the field of healthcare, but I do try and live my life according to the philosophy that I adopted along my journey. The basic tenet is that of belief in transformation and that it is possible through determination, effort, persistence, and patience. I also believe that adaptability, spontaneity, and embracing change can create the space needed to allow one to learn new things and grow as a person. And finally, I believe that I'm not unique, that each one of us is capable of growing and healing and transforming into our best selves. Are you ready to nudge yourself out of your comfort zone just a little? Since I first agreed to muse, I pondered what the focus would be. What could be relevant within the context of the current pandemic? As I mulled over this question an answer became increasingly clear: the concept of immunity. Everyone seems to be currently preoccupied with immunity. So, do some people have natural immunity? Do some people have or suspect they've already had COVID? Has he acquired some amount of immunity? And if so, how long will it last? Will the various vaccines currently being developed and administered provide immunity for the growing number of variants of the virus? And if so, for how long? It always seems that there are so many questions not fully answered. As we wait out these uncertain times, you may have wondered whether there are ways that we can independently help ourselves become stronger and boost our own immune systems to protect us from contracting the infection or minimizing its symptoms. I believe, of course, that yes, in fact, it is possible, and that, of course, we all have it within our powers to help ourselves achieve maximum wellness, and by extension, which involves a stronger immune system capable of weathering a COVID storm. I also believe that diet and other lifestyle factors are foundational to this immune system. And nutrition may just be the vital component in maintaining or gaining a healthy immune system. And so, what are some of the steps that we can take to reach our goal of holistic wellness? The focus is on the whole person, the emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental. It requires both the intention and the effort to become aware of and then address those parts that need tending to. Each one of us is ultimately responsible for our own well-being. Over the years, I have made informed choices about my lifestyle and diet, and that I believe have helped me to achieve a relative state of good health and happiness. And I would like to share some suggestions with you tonight. The following is a list of the various lifestyle choices that I have incorporated into my way, and that you may like to consider for yourselves as well. Number 1, daily exercise, including outdoor activities when weather permits. The exercise should alternately include cardio and weights and stretching. Try out different forms of exercise and see which ones you enjoy most. Since my gym closed last year, I've discovered the cornucopia of online exercise videos to choose from. I now take classes with Jennifer Lawrence's trainer, unbeknownst to her or her trainer, of course. Always remember to start out slowly with any new movement and gradually increase the intensity as your body grows stronger and more flexible. But don't get complacent. When your body is ready, gently push yourself just that little bit further. Allow your muscles to stretch and grow. Number 2, daily exposure to sunlight to help fight the winter blues and to increase our production of vitamin D in the summer months. Also, in the darker months of late fall and winter, sitting under a full spectrum light can help combat SAD, seasonal affective disorder, and actually increase energy levels. Number 3, a conscious desire and steps taken to achieve good sleep hygiene. Now, I think maybe various speakers in the past have touched on this. And as usual, I won't go into much detail, but I just want to point out that I feel it is essential that we all respect and prioritize the importance of sleep with its healing and restorative properties. This usually involves a winding down period, including shutting off all electronics an hour or so before your regular designated sleep time. I'm a big proponent of getting to sleep earlier rather than later, but I realize that each of us has our own circadian rhythm to dance to. Number 4, create and foster social connections. Call people. Almost everyone is in the same boat right now, confined with limited social interactions, and is craving some kind of human contact, even if it's only by phone or text or email. Number 5, give of yourself. wherever and whenever possible. We all know that the gift is in the giving of our time, energy, thoughts, things, etc. Maybe someone you know would really appreciate a home-cooked meal, dropped off, of course, or just lend an ear to a friend in need. Number 6, stimulate your brain. Learn something new every day and do mentally challenging activities such as puzzles and games. I do bridge, a lot of it. Don't waste any minutes of each precious day. Now could be the time to read up on all those destinations that you might one day be planning to visit. What is the history of that country? What kind of flora and fauna are native to that area? Or maybe you want to learn a few phrases of their language. Cultivate and indulge your curiosity and increase your knowledge about the wonderful world around you. Nudge yourself out of your comfort zone, again, to create the space for growth. Walk your normal route backwards. Read a different section of the newspaper. Make a new recipe. Listen with an open mind to another political viewpoint on a different station that you are used to. Do a synagogue talk, even when you're terrified of doing so. Number 8, engage in mindfulness practices, such as meditation, prayer, journaling, etc., with the intention to become more self-aware and reduce your stress. Try to live more in the now versus the past or the future. Be present, even when performing small tasks, such as cooking or washing dishes. Carpe diem, they say, seize the day. Each moment has the potential to be memorable. It's up to you to pay it attention and give it relevance. Number 9, practice gratitude. Reflect on what you can be thankful for in your life. Things can always be much worse than what they are. Even if we can't physically be with them right now, we still have family, friends, and a community. We are fortunate to have a roof over our heads, food in our fridges, the relative freedom to make choices, and a sense of safety from war and political oppression, just to name a few things to be grateful for. Number 9, nourish and love yourself. Applaud and reward all the baby steps you make toward your goal of wellness. Be kind and encouraging and patient with yourself. Wow, I was able to start a new project, try a new recipe, or complete a chore that I'd been putting off. And finally, number 10, prioritize quality food. Realize that your food choices are critical to creating and maintaining the good health that you want and deserve. In addition to the above recommendations, I would like to emphasize that I believe moderation should be an overriding factor. Too much of a good thing is not usually a good thing. Becoming aware of, listening to, and responding in moderation to your particular needs is a good thing. It's beyond the scope of tonight's talk to delve too deeply into any one of the first 9 recommendations, but I will expand upon number 10, the nutritional aspect, as this is the area perhaps where I am most knowledgeable. The philosophy I espouse when it comes to eating is actually quite simple. I try to consume foods that are as natural and unprocessed as possible. I believe that the integrity of the food is very important and that less is actually more when it comes to portion sizes, that there are no exact measurements or calorie counts, just common sense and following a few basic guidelines, which I will now point out to you. So here's a short list of foods I consider beneficial to my health and hopefully will be for you as well. Spring water, herbal teas. Cheers. Whole grains such as brown rice, oats, quinoa, spelt, rye, etc. Legumes such as dried beans, peas, lentils. Nuts and seeds, preferably raw. Healthy fats and oils, including extra virgin cold pressed olive oils, organic butter, organic coconut oil, and other cold-pressed organic oils, organic meats and chicken, wild-caught or organically grown fish, organic free-range eggs, organic dairy products. And this item you may not be familiar with, so I'll talk a little bit about it. Fermented foods such as sauerkraut, pickles, unsweetened yogurt or kefir. The entire B group of vitamins can be produced within your own intestines, assuming you have a healthy intestinal flora. And eating fermented foods will provide important fiber and beneficial bacteria to help optimize this internal vitamin B production. Next is local seasonal vegetables. The more colorful, the better. And local seasonal whole fruits in moderation, maximum 2 per day. So my list of foods I consider unhealthy and I do try and avoid: tap water, processed foods, sugars and artificial sweeteners, refined grains, heat or chemically processed oils, non-organic meat, chicken, fish, eggs, and dairy products, all GMOs, chemical additives such as preservatives, flavor enhancers, dyes, hormones, antibiotics, etc., soft drinks, and other carbonated beverages. I drink spring water because of the dangers of ingesting chlorine and fluoride, as well as the remnants of medications and heavy metals found in the filtration of wastewater. I do advocate for organic foods whenever feasible, as I believe that they're healthier for me, as well as sustainable for the planet and ultimately our future. The food is more nutrient dense than non-organic and contains no or significantly less chemicals, including herbicides, insecticides, preservatives, hormones, and antibiotics, as I mentioned previously. I'm very aware that organic foods are more expensive than non-organic. However, if properly planned and prepared, the meal should not cost that much more. I have found that at Costco, for instance, the organic ground beef, chicken, eggs, dairy, breads, oils, and certain other products, as well as frozen wild-caught fish, are all significantly cheaper than those found at health food stores. Since I also advocate I want to get to where I'm supposed to be. Replacing some or most of the animal protein in the diet with legumes and nuts and seeds, the amount of meat and chicken and fish eaten is greatly reduced, and therefore the cost of your meals as well. Since I also believe that smaller portions and an overall reduction in daily caloric intake are usually recommended, again, the food bill is reduced while maintaining a high degree of nutrient density. Think of the additional savings when processed prepared foods, chips, cookies, cakes, ice cream, soft drinks, restaurant meals, etc., have all been eliminated or at least reduced from the food bill. And therefore, I believe choosing organic, home-cooked meals is usually affordable as well as healthier for most people. But in addition to the quality of the food we consume, an equally important consideration is how well each of our bodies is able to digest and absorb these foods. Apart from specific genetic factors that may enhance or inhibit an individual's food processing capabilities, I would like to discuss the more general topic of gut health. When I say gut, I actually mean the entire digestive tract, beginning with the entry point, the mouth, and all the way through to the elimination point. If our gut has been compromised, i.e., unable to function at its optimum level, any point along the journey, then digestion can be hampered and we may be wasting some of our good food. This could happen during the chewing, swallowing, mechanical and chemical processing, absorption, or the final excretion of the waste. Are there any signs that we may not be able to digest our food properly? Some of the more immediate symptoms that we may notice include heartburn, nausea, gas, bloating, a heavy feeling after eating, constipation, diarrhea, headaches, bad breath, fatigue, to name some of them. Some delayed symptoms could present as food sensitivities, nutrient deficiencies, metabolic and mood disorders, diseases, and finally, a compromised immune system. Some of the reasons why our gut sometimes performs below par could include an underactive or an overactive stomach, overeating, liver toxicity, improper food combining, reactions to medications, emotional health, stress, among others. Again, it's not within the scope of this talk to provide individual diagnoses, but just to point out that we are not only what we eat, but what our bodies can use of what we have eaten. Again, I have some general recommendations on how best to help our guts maximize their digestive capabilities, which include the following. Increase your stomach's acidity. Drink a cup of water with 2 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice half an hour before the meal. This will help digestion. In general, as we age, our stomach's hydrochloric acid diminishes, and it is therefore less capable of digesting certain nutrients. Do not drink any liquids during the meal or for 2 hours afterwards, so as not to dilute these acids. Sometimes when we think we have too much acid and have a burning sensation, it's actually a result of too little acid in the stomach, which can lead to undigested food sitting and fermenting and rotting. Do you have real hunger or just a craving? Learn to differentiate between the two and then eat when you actually feel hunger. As you eliminate sugar and refined grains from your diet, cravings will diminish and eventually subside. Chew slowly and with mindfulness and enjoyment. Savor each mouthful. This will allow the digestive juices to start flowing. Concentrate fully on your meal. This means limiting distractions in order to eat relaxed and unhurried. Do not overeat. Stop before you feel stuffed. By eating slowly and mindfully, you will learn to realize when you have had enough. Space your meals in order to give the stomach the necessary time to digest the previous meal, and stop the constant grazing. Eat seasonal foods. They are easier to digest. This means that in our cold winters, we should be concentrating on the warming foods such as root vegetables, soups, stews, etc., and not on cooling foods like tropical bananas and pineapples, for instance. Limit our intake of raw foods in the colder months. Save this for the summer when your bodies are hot and it needs cooling down. A little talk about portion sizes. An easy rule of thumb I try to use is to divide my plate into quarters. Approximately 2/4 or half of the total should consist of various vegetables, either steamed, baked, or lightly stir-fried. A quarter should contain whole grains, and the last quarter should be the protein portion, either animal or vegetable or a combination of both. Liberal amounts of quality oils, as I described earlier, should be incorporated into the meals. Traditional Iraqi dishes work very well with this diet as long as brown rice is substituted for the white and care is taken to substitute the mazola or canola with healthy oils. For breakfast or other meals, khichdi made with brown rice is an excellent choice, served with maybe turnips and black-eyed peas. Yum. I also enjoy oatmeal with added chia and hemp seeds and walnut pieces. Indian and Asian dishes are also good choices as they focus on vegetables and legumes with reduced quantities of animal protein. Fruits should only be eaten on their own on an empty stomach, either an hour before or 3 to 4 hours after a meal.
It's very good.
And your last meal of the day should be at least 4 hours before bedtime. Do not drink cold beverages. Either warm or room temperature ones are more beneficial and keep the stomach fires burning. Now, a little bit about food sensitivities. As you become more self-aware, you may begin to notice if particular foods are causing digestive problems. You are probably sensitive to them, and I recommend eliminating them from your diet for at least a month. If they are not being digested properly, then little nutrition is being derived from eating them. Everything can be substituted. If dairy seems to be a problem, there are many vegan milk alternatives, such as almond, hemp, or oat milks, each with their own health benefits. If you seem to be sensitive to gluten, then choose gluten-free whole grains. Again, at Costco, I've been able to find many gluten-free products, such as bread, crackers, cereals, pastas. There's no need to feel deprived. And finally, supplemental digestive enzymes. Even with all the above recommendations, periodically, the digestive tract might still need a little help, especially during the initial transition phase. A good digestive enzyme can be taken with the meals to supplement the body's own ones. The goal of the above recommendations, as I mentioned earlier, is to help your digestive system achieve maximum absorption of quality nutrients in order to optimize the body's functioning, wellness, and by extension, its immune system. Often, though, because of specific genetic, environmental, or emotional reasons, we still may not be able to derive adequate nutrition from diet and lifestyle means alone. Additional specific foods and supplements and/or therapies may be recommended. That would again be determined with an individualized, in-depth analysis and beyond the scope of this lecture. However, there are some general recommendations that I can make for the following nutrients that I have recently seen as being singled out as possibly playing a specific role in the prevention and management of COVID infections and our immune system in general. The first one is vitamin A. It has gained a reputation as an anti-infective vitamin because so many of the body's defenses against infection depend on an adequate supply. Vitamin A plays a unique and vital role in the formation and maturation of what we call the epithelial tissue, external skin, and the mucus layers that line the respiratory and the intestinal tracts. By strengthening these barriers, it creates a greater protection from infection. Preformed vitamin A comes only from animal products such as fish oils and liver. However, beta carotene, found abundantly in carrots and other orange and dark green vegetables and fruit, can usually be converted in your body into vitamin A, and normally, a diet is rich in these foods already, and it would provide ample vitamin A. And so unless there is a suspected deficiency or infection, I do not normally recommend supplementing. Vitamin D, very important. It has not only been proven to reduce the risk of testing positive for COVID, but it also has been proven to cut the risk of severe illness, the need for hospitalization and death. Hospitalization and mechanical ventilation, the length of hospitalization and death. I usually recommend at least 1,000 units a day during the autumn, winter, and spring months when our particular climate in the Northern Hemisphere does not allow our bodies to produce our own vitamin D via sunlight. Vitamin C, it is a crucial antioxidant nutrient that boosts the body immunity. It is also an essential vitamin, meaning that humans cannot self-synthesize it. And therefore, if we are unable to extract enough from our foods, we should be supplementing with it daily. Many fruits, including citrus and vegetables, contain some vitamin C, but I still recommend taking 500 milligrams a day. Quercetin. It is a well-known flavonoid with antiviral properties. There is new evidence that vitamin C and quercetin taken together have a synergistic antiviral action. Therefore, it would appear that at the first sign of a viral infection, it would be advantageous to take quercetin along with vitamin C. The recommended dose of quercetin is 250 to 500 milligrams a day. Zinc. This mineral boosts the immune response and is essential to wound healing and taste and smell perception. This suggests that zinc deficiency may be a key factor in a COVID infection, since many people lose their sense of taste and smell. It also helps to activate vitamin A, the vitamin I already talked about. Animal sources provide the best sources for zinc, but it can also be found in pumpkin seeds, seaweeds, spirulina, and kelp. Unless a deficiency is detected, I do not normally recommend a daily zinc supplement. However, should I suspect the beginning of an infection, I will usually supplement with zinc lozenges, which you can also buy at Costco, by the way, to temporarily increase my zinc levels and immunity. Quercetin also seems to improve zinc uptake in the cells, another synergistic effect of quercetin. Again, probiotics, to ensure that your gut microbiome has the right proportion of healthy bacteria. We discussed it with the fermented vegetables earlier. I recommend eating a diet that includes these fermented foods and supplementing with probiotics, such as acidophilus. According to data obtained from the European Food Safety Authority, for each gram per day increase in the average national consumption of fermented foods, and this is a study that was done in Europe, the mortality risk for COVID-19 decreased by 35%. That is not insignificant. And adequate vitamin B levels also help to reduce stress, which helps increase immunity overall, a win-win situation. Another supplement they advocate is elderberry extract. It's known to shorten influenza duration by 2 to 4 days, and it reduces the severity of the infection. It combats inflammation, relieves coughs, enhances immune system function, lowers fever, and soothes the respiratory tract. I usually recommend it as a very effective cough remedy. And we do grow it organically in Quebec. And wild oregano, this is my personal favorite, my go-to remedy at the first sign of an infection. I have not read specifically where it is used in the fight against COVID, but I would certainly try it anyway, since it has always either helped me prevent the onset of a viral or bacterial infection or shortened its duration. And so finally, to recap my little talk, I would like to summarize some of the points I have discussed this evening. My philosophy, or my way of creating and maintaining wellness in my life, begins with a search for what I can best describe as a gentle harmony of lifestyle choices that have the intention to minimize stress, increase awareness and self-knowledge, and achieve a state of happiness and well-being. When I am at one with my physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual self, I am strong and capable of helping others, and also better able to withstand exterior threats such as COVID. When I strive to exercise my various parts, I see immediate benefits to my entire holistic self. This positive reinforcement encourages me to continue. When I make healthy choices about what and how I eat, I feel the benefits of increased vitality, mental clarity, and a body free of pain and cravings. I enjoy a robust immune system and am on the road to a state of maximum holistic wellness. I hope you will all join me on this life's journey and make it your way too. Thank you all. That's
Thank
it.
you, Denise. Are you open to some questions?
Yes?
So if you want to ask a question, you can either text it in the chat, raise your hand the old-fashioned way, or click on the reaction button at the bottom and raise your hand. Oh, we have a question. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, Gladys Catan. Go ahead. You have to unmute yourself, Gladys.
I just want to thank Denise. It was very, very informative, and that we have the time to implement some of these recommendations. Thank you.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
I have a question.
Yes, Mrs. Roth.
Yeah, I would like very much. I happen to like very much steak tartare and tuna tartare. But according to you, like raw meat and raw tuna, it's not good, right? I would like to hear your
Well, what I said is that when the food is raw, it is a little more difficult to digest. Overcooked and well done foods is also very hard to digest, but lightly cooked foods are the easiest for your stomach to digest. Now, the other problem with eating raw is that it is cold. And cold in the winter months is not a great thing because it cools down your stomach at the same time. But there are a lot of benefits to eating raw organic food, but it would be better done in a warmer time of the year, let's say.
But I'm worried it's bacteria and that it's not healthy, that people say you can get sick.
Well, you have to be careful the source of your raw food as well. I mean, the people that or the restaurants that buy their meat for their steak tartare or their fish, I mean, they go for very, very fresh sources and good sources. So I would hope that you know your source before you eat it. I personally would be a little afraid of it, but if that's what you're used to and that's what, you know, you've been okay with it, and you probably have a very healthy digestive system, in order that you're able to eat it and not suffer any consequences from it. But I don't, yeah.
Also, they say tap water. In Montreal, it's good tap water. And you say you wouldn't touch tap water.
I wouldn't touch tap water, no. Our tap water is probably better than tap water than in most places in the world. So I have to give credit to that. But if I had no spring water to drink, I would probably get a reverse osmosis purification system whereby I would be most assured that all of the contaminants and leftover drugs, birth control pills, statin drugs, and all this stuff that is usually not cleared out of the water in our regular filtration system could be cleared out. But a reverse osmosis is expensive, and then you have to be careful to reintroduce healthy minerals back into the water as well once it's been cleaned to that extent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Also, Josh Schwartz talks so much about it, and I heard him so many times, you know, that organic is exaggerated. And you strongly emphasize today, organic, organic, organic.
Joe Schwartz and I don't see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Evelyn Shaheen, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, a little more details about the zinc, please.
More detail about zinc?
Yes.
In what respect?
How to have the benefit to have the zinc in our food, such as Which food?
Well, most meats have it, especially organ meats. If you wanted to like live like when you're talking about most of the vitamins and minerals, most of them can be had from the organ meats or beef or chicken in general. Or you can get a lot of the minerals also from seaweed, kelp, spirulina, and
What is spirulina?
Pardon me?
What is the spirulina, please?
Spirulina. It is like a green ocean vegetable.
Okay.
Which includes, and a lot of times, just like kelp, it has a variety of minerals in it so that you get a balanced mineral intake instead of just taking one specific. So in general, when I eat or I recommend things, I try to, instead of just taking specific things, eat foods that are nutrient dense with various vitamins, minerals, nutraceuticals, because one helps the other.
Thank you.
Denise, we have two questions in the chat. One is from Lisa. Is tap water through a Brita good?
Well, Brita only allows for a very minimal filtration of the water. It does not take out all the heavy metals, nor all the bacteria and viruses that could be in it. So it's better than drinking tap water on its own, but it's like lower on the scale of, let's say, filtration than, let's say, a reverse osmosis or a triple filtration type system. But it will clean it to a certain extent. I have been buying our mineral water in these huge, you know, like these 18, whatever they are, gallons or whatever. It's delivered once every 2 weeks. And these are all recycled, so they don't end up in landfills. And I know where the source of the water comes from. I've been very happy. Actually, Elias and I have been using that since we were first married. So he actually was the one that turned me on to this way before I was even into natural health. And so we have, and over the years, continued to use it. And it really costs pennies to use instead of tap water. And we feel personally, without chlorine and without fluoride in the water, as well as heavy metals and toxic byproducts from wastewater, that we enjoy the freedom of mind we get from it.
Thank you. A quick one from Joyce Isaac. Doesn't spring water have excess calcium?
You have to, well, first of all, you have to define what excess calcium is, because various mineral waters do have various levels of different minerals in it. Mine does not. I don't know which one she is looking at, but in general, it's minimal amounts, tiny amounts of minerals that you find, but you do want to have some minerals in your water. You wouldn't want to have too much of any one. Again, you don't want to have an imbalance, so you would have to check it. And I don't recommend using, you know, these small mineral waters that end up in landfills or in our oceans, or so the only way I recommend drinking it is to have it delivered or buy the big bottles from the grocery store, whatever, and recycle them. So that is a major concern for me, the waste that could be produced from it.
Thank you. We have a question from Rabbi Pinto. Is bok choy a good source of nutrition?
I don't know specifically what's in bok choy, but I would certainly think that it's a great source of nutrition, and it can be easily stir-fried lightly and added to so many different dishes. I personally love bok choy, but I would have to look up specifically what's in it to know each and every vegetable, what the preponderance of vitamins and minerals and other nutrients are in it. But if you like bok choy, I would encourage you to eat a lot of it.
Thank you. Lisette has a question about the plastic the water comes in.
Yes. Well, the small bottles definitely can pose a big danger. The big ones, the bottles are very, very thick. So one is hoping that there's not a lot of transference of the plastic in it, that you don't keep it in it very long, that your water, you drink it quickly. It's not sitting there a long time. Don't keep it out in the sunlight or let the bottles freeze. You still have to be careful about the integrity because you do not want plastic transferring into the water. It is a compromise I've made. I would prefer that they delivered it in big glass bottles, which they used to, but they no longer do that. But at least these bottles are the thickest possible with the least transference.
Thank you. Sandra Benjamin's question, what type of oil do you use in stir fry?
Usually I'll use coconut, my extra virgin organic coconut oil, because I'm usually, I don't mind an Asian taste to most of my stir fries. Or if you want to cook it on a lower heat, you can use olive oil, but olive oil you don't want to, of course, raise the temperature too much. And you cook it at a lower heat with a little bit of water in it too, and it steams the vegetables as well as adds a little flavor from the olive oil.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the floor? No. Well, thank you so much, Denise, for an amazing evening. We learned a lot. I certainly will have to watch the recording as well because there was a lot to absorb, and I'll have to watch it and rewatch it to absorb everything.
I told you to take notes.
Well, I was busy managing a few things here tonight.
I know there was a lot of information, but I just wanted to make it as complete as possible in the time frame that was allotted. So,
well, I want to tell you, you are an amazing person. You've taught us a lot, and I thank you. And we're going to allow everybody to unmute themselves so they can all applaud for you. But before you do that, I want to thank, of course, Rachel and the office staff who is completely supportive of us on a daily basis. Françoise Babulot, Viola Tolchinsky, and Linda Abudi. And we're happy to see our rabbi here tonight and the First Lady.
The First Lady. Is the First Lady there? I didn't see her.
Yeah. Everybody unmute yourselves. I've given you all the power to do that.
I was surprised.
I'm here, Denise. Bravo, Denise. Excellent presentation.
Bravo.
Excellent. Great job.
Thank you
Love
very much.
It was like everything, like music to my ears. Everything you said, I tried to, but it's a lot of discipline. Like it takes discipline to do this. And I love that you're so disciplined, and I love everything you said. Honestly, like
it just takes the first step. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, I have a question for you.
Yeah, everyone unmute yourself. Click unmute. I'm noticing people are having some difficulty. Just click on unmute. Go ahead, Sandra.
Sorry, I was just because I asked the question about the stir fry oil that she uses, and Denise was saying she's using coconut oil. What I wonder, I use half olive oil and half avocado oil because I know the olive burns really fast, the olive oil. Is that okay?
You know, I don't have a definitive answer on the avocado oil because that is the oil that if I have to, which happens very infrequently, but if I have to cook something on a very high heat, I will use it because I am assuming that it retains its integrity the most out of.
Exactly.
If you do have to cook on a high heat, I wouldn't even mix it. I would just use the avocado oil, but sparingly and not often is what I would say, because I don't think there's definitive information on it. And save the olive oil for the salads and drizzling over
Yeah.
your vegetables and maybe, you know, cooking something on very low heat.
Right. Can I ask one more question?
Go ahead.
About eating fruits.
Yeah.
Like I'm also careful like you, and I calculate every single thing. But about fruits, how do you recommend eating fruits throughout the day? Like,
Well,
Fruits,
like I
not
said, fruits are
fruits.
to be eaten sparingly because of
yeah, but alone.
the very high sugar content in them
Right.
and because of
Not
the
to
cooling
eat too much
nature
fruit.
of it. So you would eat it, let's say, an hour before breakfast.
Right.
Like you get up in the morning, you can have a fruit. Your stomach is empty. You can enjoy your fruit on its own.
Mhm.
Okay. An hour
Right.
later, you can then eat your breakfast. Or the same thing late afternoon. You can have a fruit then.
Right.
So
Right.
that way it is not interfering with the digestion from your lunch. And
Right.
and it will be, and it does digest very quickly when you eat it on its own. So within an hour after you've eaten the fruit, you can then eat your dinner afterwards.
So it's true.
Right.
but,
No, I agree
huh?
100%.
Yes,
Thank you.
Can I say
Thank you.
something? Can I say something? I loved your, Denise, I
Yes.
loved your introduction. I didn't know much about you, but it was a nice presentation and even better when you spoke more. So congratulations, you did a great job.
Thank you very much. That's very sweet of you.
Denise,
Thank you.
I have a question. Can I ask something?
Yes.
I also have one. Why should we have our fruit on an empty stomach? Why?
Because the fruit, because it contains a lot of natural sugars, can sometimes, well, most of the time, but in some people all the time, mix and slow the digestion. So instead of you being able to process your foods as quickly and as efficiently as you normally would by mixing in sugar with it and the fruit and the cooling nature of it, you actually slow down the digestive process. And so it may run into the next meal if you mix these foods together. So it's really the sugar content and the coolness nature of fruit is the reason why. In the summer, you can take a little bit more freedom with how you eat foods. But in the winter, because of the coldness, it's very important to maintain the separation at least of the fruit from other foods. Because you get to really appreciate the flavor of each fruit on its own.
Can I ask a question?
Thank you.
I don't know if you spoke about it. Maybe I missed out a part. Would you encourage someone to become a vegetarian?
I don't encourage anyone to become strictly vegetarian unless they have strong reasons for doing so. I believe that most people can benefit from at least a small amount of good quality meat and fish in their diet. But if you have very strong objections to eating meat, or for some reason it doesn't agree with you at all, there are ways of eating a strictly vegetarian diet where you can incorporate most, if not all, your nutrients into your diet. But I'm more of a type of person that once you get to know me is that I'm flexible, and I don't normally say, well, just eat only meats or just eat only vegetables, or a good mixture. But I think legumes as a source of protein are very, very important and nutritious, and that everyone should
What
incorporate
is
that.
looking?
The legumes, the lentils, the dried beans, the dried peas, this type of thing. It's a very nutritious source of protein as well. So people should look to experiment with that and incorporate that as part of their protein intake, and maybe reduce some of the meats and dairy in their diet.
What about sesame oil or oyster oil to use it a bit sparingly?
Well, sesame oil, you have to be very careful with. All of the polyunsaturated fats, first of all, you have to be careful how it's been processed in the first place, because these oils can very easily turn to trans fats if they're not processed properly, and trans fats are not good for your body. So you have to be careful that it's been expeller pressed, that it's fresh, and you probably would want to keep it in the refrigerator, that type of oil. So that's why I don't normally recommend it, but I know it has a great flavor. And if you want to add a little bit into your Asian dishes, as long as the integrity has not been compromised, there should be no problem with it. Again, you have to check to see how it's been extracted.
Okay.
Wow, Denise, you're amazing.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Vivian.
Hi, Denise.
Hi.
I loved your presentation. It seems like we have to eat a lot of things just to get all the nutrients that you mentioned. You mentioned quercetin. I'm not familiar with that. Is that a vitamin additive or is it found in our foods?
Quercetin is what they call a bioflavonoid, and it's found in fruits and vegetables. If you want a visual idea of where it can be found, it's in the white part of an orange or a lemon. You know, underneath the skin in the pith, yes. It's found within there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why, since it's found in a fruit or vegetable, also like in peppers, the inside of the pepper there, mm-hmm. These fruits and vegetables also have a high degree of vitamin C. So that's why they work synergistically together. The quercetin, other bioflavonoids, and vitamin C. So mm-hmm. If you eat that part of your fruit or vegetable, you would be getting it mm-hmm. naturally.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Denise. You answered so many questions. You taught us so much. We can't stop thanking you enough. I want to remind everyone that this is Super Tuesday Sisterhood. We welcome donations for the Spanish and Portuguese Synagogue. We also welcome new members to the Sisterhood. If you're not already a member, we welcome you to come and join. Next week, as you know, we have something every Tuesday until March 30th. Next week, we have the pleasure of Dr. Ariel Levy. He's a neurologist, and he's going to speak about how physical activity maintains neurological health, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and beyond. It's promising to be very interesting as well. Again, Denise, amazing evening. Thank you so much.
You are.
Thank you. Great.
Bravo, bravo. Excellent.
And don't forget Thursday, we have the book club.
Book club, and on Thursdays now we have yoga with Lisa Shabbat.
Wednesday.
There's still room if you want to register.
It's action-packed.